Hello, everybody. This is Nick Totaro, Professor of Information Technologies and Computer Science, Lake Lincoln College, and this is Real Quick Networking. All right, I want to talk about your local machine, the machine that you're currently working on, and I want to talk about TCP/IP. Generally speaking, there are two ways that we can reference our local machine. One way is to know its IP address, and on this particular machine in front of me, the IP address of this machine, if I was to do an if config and I look it up, and it basically says this machine's IP address is 10.0.1.2. 10.0.1.2. Now, I know that because I looked it up, but because I'm on this particular network, that's my IP address. If I was to take this machine and move it to a different network and get a different TCP/IP DHCP lease, that IP address can change. There's another IP address that we often use to reference our local host. Sometimes we call it the loopback address, and that is the address of 127.0.0.1. And all that means is it's looping back to this given machine. It's not sending out any packages on the internet. Now, if you look at the bottom part of my screen, on the bottom part of my screen right here, this is Wireshark. This is just a network monitoring tool that allows me to watch network traffic that is being generated, currently that's being generated from this given machine. And let's say, for example, I want to just ping the IP address of my router. If I just do a ping 10.0.1.1, that's the IP address of my router, and I hit enter, you'll notice that almost instantly, you see the packets that are leaving my machine and coming back from the router. So I have my network monitor running. If I clear all the screens and I do the exact same thing, and I don't, if I do the exact same thing and I just ping my local host address, and remember my local host address is 10.0.1.2, you'll notice that yes, it's pinging, but it's not sending out the network traffic. And if I do the same thing with 127, again, it doesn't send out any network traffic because it's trying to keep all this information local to my machine. However, that is ping. There are other commands that we can use that would potentially send out network traffic if we use the actual IP address. If I type nmap-st and I use the actual address of this machine, so nmap-st, this is just a real quick thing. This is nmap is a networking utility tool that we use, and you will notice that time, this particular command absolutely sent out network traffic. So even though it's still maintaining on the local host, it needed to send out traffic over the internet and basically bounce its way back. But even with nmap, let me clear all my screens here. Even with nmap, and I do an ST, and this time I use the loopback address of 127.0.0.1, you'll notice you get the same response up here, but no network traffic was generated. That is because these tools and TCP/IP know that 127.0.0.1 is just the loopback adapter. So we use the 127.0.0.1 when we're not always sure about what our IP address is, or we're just simply testing. Maybe I'm running a service on this machine and I'm testing that service, so I don't have to go out and find the IP address, the specific IP address. I just use 127.0.0.1. We also use that in troubleshooting and diagnostics of a machine. So many times if I'm troubleshooting a machine that's having problems connecting to the network, one of the first steps I would do is to ping 127.0.0.1, and if nothing happens, I know I have a problem with the TCP/IP stack. If that works, and then I would ping the actual IP address, in this case would be 10.0.1.2, and if that doesn't work, I know I have additional problem. So troubleshooting, testing, looping back to my given machine, 127.0.0.1 does not generate network traffic. if you're pinging or you're doing something with the actual IP address, there's a chance that you're going to be sending out network traffic. So with that being said, let's go and learn something.